We started off very promising with my lesions. And then as philosophers started giving the basic questions of metaphysics and cosmology more detailed thought, more consideration, we ended up in a very bad situation, or a place that we're not happy to be, that one that is certainly counterintuitive, based on, Heraclitus kind of set the stage and Parmenides closed the door. We've heard about a few possible answers, not really very satisfying. And notice where you are if you're in the ancient world. Everything that you think, you believe, based on your senses, is wrong. So the reality, the truth, with the absolute truth, the absolute reality, is not what your senses tell you. You can't know anything with your senses. Well, along comes Protagoras and some of the other Sophists. Some of the Protagoras, Gorgias, Antiphon, Hippias, Prodicus, and Thrasymachus. These are actually names of Sophists that appear in Plato's dialogues. Now, obviously, each sophist had his own different view, but there were things that they shared. And the sophists never made claims to being philosophers. Rather, they were teachers who moved around, taking fees from teaching the critical skills to the children of the rich and famous, so to speak, the very influential and the people who could afford it. And they got big fees for doing this. And here are a few themes that the sophist kind of had in common. And they looked at the difference between nature, what they call physis, and the laws of nature, the laws that make the world work, versus the laws of man, the things that are made up by convention. The laws of nature, laws of physics, are fixed. Civil laws we determine by convention, by agreement. Well, how is all of that okay? Because with Parmenides was right, there is no absolute truth. How can we be in that situation? How can convention do anything? And here's what the sophists do to try to restore truth to the world. That is, truth becomes relative. Everything is relative. And one thing that's attributed, or a statement I should say, that's attributed to Protagoras is, man is the measure of all things. What a person perceives to be true is true. And in that case, what are you teaching people? You're teaching people a way of getting their way, because your truth is as good as anybody else's truth. But rather, what they would teach you is rhetoric, the power of persuasion, because that is the critical skill in life to get people over to your position. And now we're seeing how things are lining up for our story, to begin with Socrates, because Socrates thinks that there are absolute truths, and it really does make a difference in an important context that we will see in a second, and that is not the context of metaphysics and not the context of epistemology.